another alumni interview we got here. You want to come on up? Let's see. We got Arnold Blinn.
That's right.
Arnold Blinn, CIA, pushed Hill 1. You got some stories to talk about Hill 1 there. So thank you, Arnold, for joining us. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. Let them get my mic adjusted, and we'll be good. Yeah. Hey,
Cool,
how are
cool.
you?
Not bad. Staring at the road, hoping for it to dry. But
It's wet.
yeah, it is at least nice we get some of these stories that you don't always get sometimes in the super hurried race day and whatnot, and getting to chat with some people. So.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's fun.
Cool. So, yeah, Hill 1 story.
Yeah, so Hill 1. So, I pushed Hill 1 from 1983 till 1987 for CIA. And, I've come out a couple of times and pushed alumni heats. In fact, about 3 or 4 years ago,
You're good.
3 or 4 years ago, I was pushing the alumni heat, and I think it was you on the announcer accused me of being an old man pushing up Hill 1.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
God.
I have a great clip of that up on YouTube. But my impression today, is pretty different pushing Hill 1 back then. I remember about 10 years ago coming back and noticing that the pushers are bumping on the way up Hill 1. Right? And back in the day, our buggies were 50 or 60 pounds heavier.
Right.
And so our times were slower, of course. But, we were pushing this 90-pound buggy or 70-pound buggy with, another, 90 to 100-pound driver in it. 170 pounds up the hill is a lot different than 100 pounds up the hill. And so, we couldn't bump, and so just very different way of pushing back then. I think it made a big difference.
And was that you're having pretty consistent hold of the buggy, or what was that technique?
Yeah, so the way I would push back in the days, I would start and I would just have my hand on the bar most of the way up the hill. If you got one bump in, maybe you were lucky on Hill 1, and then you kind of put all your energy into the shove at the end. But and I think to some degree, Hill 3 and Hill 4 were pretty similar. I mean, people would bump on Hill 5, but they would never bump on Hill 1. And now, even in the alumni thing I did a few years ago when you accused me of being an old man.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, it's not, an accusation if it's true. So, it's just very different, very different.
That's interesting. Yeah, no, there comes a certain point in this where I just start talking and my brain is not on, and at least I'm not saying what Bordic's saying. But no, that's very interesting.
At least you said I was a fast old man.
There
so
you go.
I appreciated that, actually.
Good. Yeah, you got it is kind of backhanded compliment, if you will. So yeah, have you been able to do any good stuff for the kind of CIA 50th this year? How's that been?
Unfortunately, I wasn't here yesterday. I heard about the big alumni,
push, the
alumni
75 person
train or push.
Yeah.
So I couldn't make it out until last night, but I'm excited to be here for. I think it's kind of a little special. Unfortunate that things got delayed.
Right.
But, to be here for Buggy 100 and CIA 50 in the same year and being an alumni of CIA certainly makes this a little special. So I couldn't miss it in that regard.
No, for sure. It's been a cool celebration. Definitely seeing all the stuff with 100 and, it's cool, too, to see the legacy of CIA. We were talking with the founder a little bit ago.
I saw Frank up here.
Kind of chatting with Frank. But I am interested, too, kind of buggy culture to me is always fascinating in terms of how the teams evolve or whatever. And, from your perspective, what's it been like to see CIA today versus CIA back when you were involved?
Over the years, things change a lot, and they also stay the same a lot.
Yeah.
And so, CIA's competitiveness I found has been about the same ever since I graduated. When I was here all 4 years, we, would finish third, fourth, fifth,
Right.
and, it was the same teams that won, and that's fine, but over the years, I think CIA's done, pretty similarly. They had a couple years where they weren't as competitive or they didn't compete in the 90s. But when they came back, and even today they're in third place.
Right.
I was talking to, I think the one position they haven't finished is second.
It's
Their
always
men's team has never gotten second, and they've gotten first, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, but never second. So,
yeah, no, it is an interesting thing, and that's going to be a battle right there between Pica and CIA because it is about a second. Who knows what's going there. We are bringing you here this coverage on WRCT Pittsburgh 88.3. So that's one of those things. So much variability, especially given what we've seen this year.
no, that's right. Well, and I wasn't here yesterday, and so I don't know what happened. I heard, but certainly, with anything can happen on the second day.
Right.
There were all the unfortunate DQs yesterday, and that can happen, and with the weather, and will they get the rolls in, and things like that. So maybe they'll get their coveted second.
Right.
I don't know if that's a coveted position or not, but we'll see what happens.
No, certainly. It's one of those teams it's always very fun to root for just because you do see that team spirit and the energy and the fact they're rolling out a bunch of teams, even if, the D team is wearing capes or whatever,
Yeah,
but it's cool.
and you ask what's changed over the years, and I think, and what's been the same, and I think that has certainly been consistent, the student involvement. And that's not just a CIA thing. That's with all the organizations. I do think there was a little bit of concern and trepidation. The members reached out to the alumni, and they were, a little concerned about how to run a race day.
Right.
Right. And, I even had sent them a note ahead of time and asked, hey, are you guys going to do an alumni heat? And a few weeks ago, their response was, well, no, we're not sure. We're going to have the bandwidth or to be able to pull it off. And then when they pulled off the big train race yesterday, I think that was a good hats off to them. So,
no, that's great.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yep.
I think Brian's mic might be off. Just 1 second there. Whoop. I could hear you there.
I could hear you. In
Yeah,
my
he can hear you. I can
headset.
repeat the question too. Yeah, all good.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I assume you took part in the 50th in one of the pushing
No,
spots.
unfortunately, while you were out, I
sorry.
mentioned that I didn't get here till last night.
Oh, fair enough.
So I missed missed my chance for one last time of glory. I
Right,
guess.
and one more chance for me to defame you on live
one
TV.
last defamation.
Yeah.
Running up a hill one. Well, it gets harder every time I do the alumni heat to make it all the way up hill one. So, but that it's always still fun to do it, and I'm always glad that I'm still able to do it.
I mean, I've never been able to do it, so it's pretty impressive that you ever were.
Yeah, there you go. And so, maybe next year I'll be here for the
There you go,
alumni
for
heat.
51.
For 51.
52, 50, whatever. The numbers stop.
The
making
numbers are all
sense
very
a while ago,
confusing.
Yeah.
I mean, we're celebrating Buggy 100 this year. It's actually 102. So
Well, yeah, except
102 or
there were a few
98.
years also in World War II.
yeah,
I think
it's 102 or 98 or
Depending on
maybe
how you do
96
the math.
or it's somewhere around.
I think you have to go with the year that the races started. Though,
Exactly.
no matter what happens. Otherwise, you need a quantum degree in mathematics to figure out what anniversary of Buggy it is. So.
And then what counts as Buggy in a year? Is it does it get an asterisk? Does it
Did last year count?
Exactly. Did last year count? In 1942, there was like a weird jalopy type of race. Does that count as Buggy? The course was different, but the teams were the same. So there's all sorts of questions like that. That's why if you stick with just 1920, it's easy to count from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm hoping that it dries out and we get to see the races for the first time in a few years.
I will say I'm starting to see road coloring in patches. So it does, and I see a tiny patch of blue sky over there. So it does look like the roads are maybe starting to dry.
Yeah,
I think
it looks a little better. We'll see. Again, we're in a holding pattern. We appreciate everybody's patience, but kind of like I was saying, it's kind of cool to have these conversations and shoot the breeze. Well, cool. Anything else, Arnold?
No, I'm good, but thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, thanks for
coming.
Thanks
Nice
for coming
to meet
up.
the two of you.
Yeah.
And welcome back to Pittsburgh.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I always happy to come.
Sweet.